subject of some of this discussion is going to be, for me, a bit of a mission that I think that I've been personally involved in now for probably 25 years. But the issue here is that some of our most critical resources, energy and water, are effectively almost unknown as to what happens to them once they leave some of the major transmission and distribution points. Metering in many parts of the world is either non-existent for things like water, or in the US, where it's probably the most modern today, is still being metered and read on a monthly basis. And in some cases in Europe, for example, on an annual basis. And some major decisions by both consumers and grid operators are really not possible when you have that minimal form of information. So I think what you've been hearing about from Joel and from David is some of the smart grid investments that have been made. And I guess part of what I'd like to suggest is, why would you start with this metering at the customer premise? And the point I'd make here is that this is the point of sale. It's the demarc between the distribution grid. It's the demarc between the supplier and the consumer. And the information point, as you've seen in so many other industries, whether it's in supermarkets with checkout scanners or in industries like telecom, where you have digital switching and call detail records, we just simply don't have that information in the energy business today. And I think that's a major gap in trying to address some of the issues around climate change and efficiency and resource allocations. So the reason to start with metering is to think about, how do you actually benchmark your performance today? How do you know that smart grid investments are making sense? And how do you know that consumers are actually getting the tools they need to do what they'd like to do, which is to use their resources more wisely? So we suggest we would start with metering as this point of sale device for all those reasons. Today we have roughly 40 companies working with us on this in roughly 12 different countries. And these companies are all committed to the same vision. And while we do see differences on a global basis, there's a remarkable amount of similarity in terms of trying to say, I want to do things to make it easier to operate my grid, to operate more effectively, to reduce the cost of service to my customers, and to empower customers with tools and information to use these resources more effectively. So we can see that both in regulatory policy and legislation, and in customer attitudes throughout the world today. And it's quite gratifying. It's been something that's been coming on for some time, but in the last few years has accelerated remarkably. So our product is essentially an information platform. If you think about all this massive amount of new data coming in from what was referred to as the AMS meters, or the automatic metering systems, the information that's coming in from meters today that are online is thousands of times richer than what you're traditionally used to in a utility, which might just read the meter once a month, get a single value indicating how much power you used over the course of the last 30 days. In this case, we're now talking about metering and devices that are generating information every 15 minutes, and in some cases less than that, in generating that information so that you have it at least once a day. That information then can be presented to consumers, but more importantly, you can use it as a basis for many, many different types of applications. Applications that relate to how you run the grid better, how you analyze the system for outage events, how you understand what kind of power flows through the different distribution assets, those transformers that are up on poles, the substations and the circuits that are delivering the energy. Today, there's no visibility into that. And with this kind of information, now you, for the first time, have that real snapshot in time of how much energy is going through any part of the grid at any given point. And at the same time, you can give that information to customers. And I think one of the most rich areas for innovation today in the industry is the idea that as you deploy these meters and as you make the information available, the information has to be made available to the customer and to the customer's authorized third parties. And as Joel mentioned earlier, in Texas, the information is delivered to the Smart Meter Texas web portal, which authorizes customers to be able to get the information themselves. And shortly, the Texas commissions will authorize rules and provide the means to have third parties authorized by the customer to get access to that information as well. And I see that as probably one of the most important areas for innovation in this industry that we've seen in some time, because it's a regulated industry, there's limited ways that a utility can make an investment in new products and services for their customers. It's a very lengthy process. The innovation cycles are very slow. But with the availability of this information, you're going to start to see people building products and tools for consumers to better understand how they use their energy, what sort of products and services they might benefit from, which would include things like solar powers, or what the cost of charging your EV might be, or whether or not that storage unit that David was talking about is really cost effective. And by having this information about how you use your own power and the personalized information that's available to you, and now to somebody you might choose as a service provider or an agent to help you make those decisions, is going to revolutionize the way consumers now will interact with their energy purchases. And this is all the basis of the information coming from the smart meters that are being deployed today. And part of the reason for the platform that we offer to our customers to help make that information used and useful within the utility, but also available to the consumer and to their authorized third parties. And these applications will only continue to grow, and the opportunities are really far beyond what people are using these systems for today. I think we've only just begun. Some of the customer success stories that we've seen, the folks up in Vattenfall, Finland, for example, have fully instrumented their network. They're able to see the power flows both into the grid and out of the grid. They have every customer metered. They have all the exchange points. They have all the generation points metered. And by using the information available within our platform, they're able to understand exactly how much power is lost and how much power is being consumed by customers and how much power needs to be billed through by the retail service providers that they have in Finland. Similarly, we're working on deploying the same sort of solution in Sweden. And both companies are using the system to monitor their system voltage as well. So we're not just talking about customer-facing activities here, we're talking about using the meter information to look at system voltages, to look at system losses, and really understand the efficiency of the distribution side of the business. In Jacksonville, Florida, and in Wisconsin, Alliant Energy and JEA, they're also using the information available from power outages recorded and reported by the meters in real time to be able to better isolate and identify where outages are occurring. And importantly, in many of these systems, to better understand how the restoration activity has progressed. So when you have a circuit that's gone down, for example, and the crew is out there and they've repaired a portion of that circuit, that last bit of the line that was down that didn't get repaired, that small group of customers that nobody knows is still out, is sitting there in the dark wondering why everybody else is coming back on. They've already called in, they're not about to call in again. Now they have a tool to be able to say, I've actually verified that all of the customers that were out have now been restored using the capabilities of these smart meters and the information systems. So lots of different sort of real-time and event-driven sort of applications are possible with the solution as well. A couple of our customers are reaching very large scale. As you heard in Texas, the meter deployments are nearly finished. We have 1.6 million meters online in Houston with CenterPoint Energy. And one of the things that's been particularly interesting about what's been happening there is as you deploy these devices, when you have customer move-ins, move-outs, when you have customers who change their retailers, in the past, they used to actually send a person out there to read that meter in order to have that closing statement and to provide the information to all the market participants. That information could take quite a while to get. It was very expensive, and to date, they've saved something like 1.7 million truck rolls or field visits avoided because of the information that's available every day online and in near real time. So those market orders to switch retailers today can be executed in under an hour, and the information is available and it's current for switching those billing processes. In Ontario, the central province of Ontario has decided that they were going to provide a central information repository. And today we're supporting something like 3.7 million customers up there with roughly 55 different utilities operating off of a single instance of the product, providing a sort of a common information base, if you will, for the entire province of Ontario, which has a statewide time of use mandate. So over 3 million customers today are being billed off this information with time of use rates designed to help encourage conservation as well as peak shifting to lower cost periods in the province. So it's been a very effective program, and we're quite proud of all these customer successes. The next step in the process is to further engage consumers, and I think consumers are the end beneficiary of all of these investments. And I think it was said earlier, and I think David and Joel both mentioned that consumer engagement early in the process has been one of the key lessons learned by almost everybody deploying smart meters or smart grid technologies, You need to educate customers as to why it's beneficial. You need to give them information as soon as it's possible. So many times these programs are promoted, and then it's months later before the meters actually get installed, and sometimes months later before the customer gets access to the information online in the form of a web portal or new information services being provided by the utility. In our experience, consumers are hungry for this kind of information. It's not something that everybody wants, but it's something that those people who do want it will take good advantage of it. They will save money. They will save on the cost of power generation by reducing peak, which saves money for everybody, and they will promote this to their friends and neighbors. So we see this as the basis for a large-scale adoption based on providing good information, providing attractive tools, including social media to consumers to help them get what they're looking for, which is better ways to use their energy. And my last comments, I guess I was coming into this knowing a little bit about Vineet's vision of employees first, and I thought a little bit about some of that from a topic standpoint. And I guess one of the things I think that's been very gratifying for us at eMeter, as well as some of our customers, is I think we all believe that we're doing work that matters. I think we are enabling innovation in ways that I think will have a profound impact on the future of energy, which is such a vital part of the world and the growth and the economy as we know it. And I think we've also been able to see that success is contagious, that success breeds other success. And whether that's success by the consumer, success by the utility, I know that for a fact that our employees value customer success more than anything, and they truly feel successful if their customers are successful. So I think being able to say that we're in this business and providing these kinds of tools to the industry has been extremely rewarding from an employee standpoint, and something that I personally am very proud of in our organization. Thanks.